Blog Talk Radio.
At this pivotal time in humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are divine creatures, creating both our own personal and our collective experience, moment to moment. We invite you to join us in the reawakening of this technology through experiment and experience the power to create and manifest. Become part of the 3%, the collective imagination.
Welcome everyone to the collective imagination for this week. We do have a lot of different things to discuss today and hopefully clear up a lot of questions that people have. We also have Heather on the line today, which is a nice bonus, as always. And one of the things we want to talk about initially is I just want to clear something up in regards to filing UCC filings and filing liens. If you're being told that you must make a UCC filing from a commentator, you've read it somewhere on the internet, it has not come from OPPT. There is actually nothing you need to do in that regard. People are getting really worried about, how to fill in their documents and stuff like that. There's nothing to fill in. The only exception to that is if you're using the courtesy notice and you're following that process and you've invoiced an individual or several individuals over a period of time and it's gotten to the point where you want to get enforcement on those invoices. Only at that point would you be looking at making a filing. So I hope that clears things up, and I want to bring Chris in to add or clarify anything that I may have gotten wrong on that. Chris, you there?
I'm here. Good morning, everybody. It's a nice cool day here down at the moment where we are in the south of the country. And no, I think you've covered it. There's no need to be making any UCC filings at all unless you go to the enforcement end of the courtesy notice process, which is something that, amongst all the other things that have been popped in front of myself and the Bartles in the last week or so, that's on our list of things to do, to define and clarify that should anyone want or need to do it at a later point. And we don't see that happening, immediately. That'll take some weeks, if that, and it may never become necessary. But nevertheless, the courtesy notice is the key thing, and would you like me to talk about the next release of it, Lisa, now?
Yeah, we may as well while we're on the subject of the courtesy notice, yeah.
Okay, now, based on the initial experience we've had with the courtesy notice and the actual degree of wording that's available in the courtesy notice, we're actually about to do a re-release of the thing, and it's grown, it's changed in its scope, and which is why it's taking us a little longer than we expected, because we keep realizing there are things we can do with this. And we're going to end up with either 4 or 5 versions of the courtesy notice, but they're only different by one paragraph. Now, I've decided to release the 4 or 5 versions because we know there's people out there who really don't use things like Microsoft Word much and will struggle with copying and pasting. So we're going to put out just 4 to 5 separate files with a clear indication in the file name of what that particular one is for. And the categories they're going to fall into are these. A paper action. That's where the respondent has sent you a piece of paper with some kind of unlawful demand on it. A physical incident, which is where there is a situation where someone has physically harmed you. Maybe they've put you in handcuffs and put you in a patrol car. We don't encourage anybody to try and use these in a situation like that, use a courtesy notice in a situation like that. It's very confrontational. It probably won't help you. You can wait till you get the piece of paper as a result of that and then do a combined action, if you wish. Then there's another category of future action, which is very simple, and the sort of thing you could send to a senior person inside a foreclosed corporation, and it simply says, with regard to any future action by respondent's name with address of respondent. And the terms and conditions that you would use if they happen to respond to this, the terms and conditions that you would use will become very clear when you become familiar with the terms and conditions. So I'd advise you to kind of read through those and get the feel of them, because you'd respond precisely to what they've actually put forward to you if you use that future action. Then we've got two special categories, which may end up being one, but at the moment we've got a thing we've called Slavery Foreclosure General, and this relates back to a paragraph that's in the Declaration and Order, the final Declaration and Order, which we've also added to the courtesy notice in the section at the back under the military, or under enforcement. And it says, and I may have read this before, but I'll draw it to your attention, all beings of the Creator shall forthwith assist all public servants identified herein, meaning the trustees for that particular document, to implement, protect, preserve, and complete this order by all means of the Creator and created as stated herein by, with, and under your full personal liability. Which means that we, the people, are meant to assist the trustees, and of course the volunteers within the military, in shutting down the slavery systems. So the courtesy notice is a key part of that. We're letting them know that we know what's happened. Now, with regard to what we can use it for, I'll read out the declaration of facts that you would use, and you will find in this version, and you would use. And it says, with regard to perpetuation of any and all slavery systems by respondents with address of respondent. That's it. So that courtesy notice can go to any person in any corporation that, and I'll use this term specifically, damages your measurable energy. Tucked away down in the body of the courtesy notice is, under duly verified notice, is this paragraph. Proponent duly makes and gives you due notice that respondent is lawfully and legally responsible and liable in principal and triple damages under common law for any and all unlawful and illegal actions against proponent by respondent, causing and resulting in any and all damage to proponent, inclusive of physical harm, physical detention, property seizure, property damage, financial damage, or any other damage of proponent's measurable energy. Okay? So, if they do something which outrages you...
Sorry, I just want to clarify, based on what we talked about yesterday, when it comes to large groups of people wanting to stand behind an individual, one of the people,
This is it. This is
right.
it.
Which version are we talking about?
Both
What's
of these
it called?
both of these two final versions. And
okay.
Just give me 30 more seconds, and I'll put the full stop at the end of the sentence. So,
all right, I just wanted to be really clear.
Yeah, the two declaration of facts says, with regard to perpetuation of any and all slavery systems by person and with address of such and such, if you feel outraged by the actions of a CEO of a company or a police force, you could send this to the person in charge of that, because they are damaging your measurable energy. Okay? They are perpetuating a stress and a harm to you that has been foreclosed, and they should cease and desist. The second one is we're calling slavery foreclosure individual. This one says, with regard to perpetuation of any and all slavery systems, specifically the incarceration of, in this case, Patrick Cody Morgan by respondent's name with respondent's address. Okay? It could say Bill Brockbrader, and it should be addressed to the judge that put these guys in jail, or judges, all of the court staff, any police people, anyone that you find is involved with the incarceration of these people. If you're finding that the absence of Bill Brockbrader has diminished you, in some way, you are entitled to let the system know. And this is how we actually stand toe-to-toe.
Now, in light of this, and in light of the discussion we had yesterday, I'm going to bring Brian Kelly out because we're adding a whole new section to the website, the optin.com website. And Brian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good, darling. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much.
So do you want to explain what this new section of the website is there for, and what its purpose is, and how people can use it?
Yeah, absolutely. This idea came about this morning when we received notice from Stacy, who's Patrick Cody Morgan's sister, and the full story. I'm actually preparing a blog as we speak for a little flash mob that we're going to do later. But essentially, Patrick Cody Morgan was charged for mortgage fraud, which was had no weight or bearing to it. It was totally illegitimate, and he had his arraignment today, or they basically this morning they found him guilty, and they sentenced him to 27 years in prison for doing absolutely nothing at all. So what we're going to do is, the inspiration is to to make these stories very widely known, and we plan on doing that by holding these people. This judge, for example, his name is Judge Lynn Nettleton Hughes, and for anybody out there that thinks they can get away with these kinds of things, we're going to make sure that everybody knows what you did, and we're going to make sure that you think twice if you're in a position to to commit these kinds of acts against free people and against innocent people. So the idea is that I'm trying to find the name of it here that Bob came up with today, and we're going to be putting out a part of the website where we'll be posting the pictures of these people and documentation, and as well as courtesy notices that tell the whole story, and then that way their faces are out there for everybody to see. And for anybody that wants to send courtesy notices in, or call the courthouse, send an email, send a fax. We set it up today, the flash mob that we're going to do later, where the courtesy notices can actually be emailed in. So essentially, what we're going to have is an ongoing record logbook of these perpetrators. So they might have been able to to hide behind the systems, and really what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have nothing to hide behind anymore, and that what they did is made public. So what we're going to be adding to the opt-in website is going to allow us to do just that. It's going to put their crimes and their offenses out in the public for everybody to see, and hopefully that'll make them think twice about moving forward with these kinds of corruptive acts and practices. So Bob had a very yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify something. Are you saying that for each case that goes up there will be an already filled in courtesy notice, and all you have to do is add your name to it, that's already had all the details pertinent to that particular case filled in?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, go ahead, Bob. Who is that talking?
That was me.
Oh, hey, Bob.
Hi, everyone. We're having a snowstorm here, just by the way, so in case I drop out, you know what happened.
Well, if you drop out, we all drop out, so don't do that.
This is true. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, it acts basically as a public registry. We're letting them know that if you continue in this action, your name is going to be registered on a public database, and we'll give them the website that they can look at it with all the details of the case. So if you sent courtesy notices and he ignored them and he sent you a judgment or a fine or whatever, that's all going to be up there, and he is going to be registered as engaging in treasonous activity.
Mm. There you go.
And that database, as it grows, will get forwarded eventually to the military and the volunteers that are available for enforcement. And we're letting them know that they're not going to continue. We're taking names.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's basically it. Bob had a really creative name that he came up for it, and that's what I was trying to find in our Skype chat here, which is why I'm kind of back and forth. Bob, do you remember what you called it today? It was creative. I just wanted to see if you remembered.
Well,
it's OPPT taking names. So think of it like the the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. Well, it's going to be set up in a fashion like that where their position, their name, what they did is all going to be held in a database that will be, keep a record of their actions, so that when the time comes, they can be held accountable to the treason and to the offenses that they've made. So I'm actually in the background right now setting up the flash mob to support Patrick Cody Morgan and his sister, who shared with us the whole story. So that, and at some point throughout the call, we'll put the call out so we can send out courtesy notices to this alleged Judge Lynn Nettleton Hughes. So I'm working on it in the background right now.
Okay, great. Now, I just wanted to shift gears briefly, and I wanted to go back to that document that came out last week, the one that's on my website, American Kabuki, the one that finalizes how do you put this, puts an end to the game of duality. And I wanted to ask the people in the chat room, because they're the only ones who can really talk to me about this right now, have you felt it? What's been your emotional and energetic response to this? Have you felt anything? Because what I really got for myself was that, and we made the comment last week in terms of, the powers that will are now currently working off script, but what I really got for me was that so am I. That whatever I came in here with, whatever issues, whatever karma, whatever words you want to put to it, whatever I carried through into this particular incarnation is done. And that I'm now in a position to work off script. I'm in a position now to let go of all of that programming. I can color outside the lines. I can create a whole new image. And there's been some interesting manifestations of that, both physically within my body, as probably you've all heard with the coughing and the carrying on, energetically, and also with relationships. It's like it's all balancing out. I am hearing stuff. I'm seeing stuff in the chat room. Exactly. Yeah, people are feeling it. Oh, that's good. I'm glad I'm not alone there. That's great.
It's not just that you can let go of. It's knowing that the contract has been satisfied.
Yeah.
With our Creator. Any guilt that you may be holding on to, you can let go, because everything's been satisfied. Everything has been reckoned and dealt with. So we can move forward from here with how we want to build this world. It also came to me that because we're in this new space, basically anything we ask for is going to be so, because we're doing it, as long as it falls within those guidelines, anything we ask for it's going to be for us. It's going to be there for us. So we get to decide.
So broad now. I don't know, it feels like we are literally making this up as we go along now in a way that we never have before. I mean, we've always been creating our own reality, but the guidelines, it felt like the guidelines for that were pretty strict parameters, and now the goalposts have moved so much that it's even hard to touch the boundaries anymore. and we've got such a bigger field to play in. Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly, very much so. It's as though that, you know, the whole area has been cleared out for us. You know, we get to paint whatever picture we want on it, and it's a lot bigger palette than we've ever had. We even have more colors to use, you know, in painting this picture.
And I have to say that's even expressing itself in the way that Scott and Ken and I were reprocessing the courtesy notice based on sort of feedback and what we're feeling, and we looked at it and we thought, this is much bigger than we thought originally. You know, we've got to really think bigger here so people can deal with anything in their lives.
Another thing that's really come to the forefront of my mind is what all of this is. This is really, and I keep looking at it, there's more to it than just UCC filings and legalities and stuff. This is literally a crash course in fifth dimensional living. You know, it's forcing, you know, as I was going through this whole journey and putting all these things together, it's allowed me to connect so many different dots multidimensionally, you know, as to putting lines across why things happen here and what's going on here and what's going on and all the different energy levels and dimensions and how they all fit together and how they all tie together. And it's really, really bringing together into focus who I am in relation to all of that. I mean, it's in a 3D way describing exactly who we are. And in every dimension you can imagine, it points to the same thing, that we are responsible, that we are creators, and that we get to exercise that now consciously. And that's a game I'm so excited to play.
You know, I look back at this show and how it's evolved. And, you know, towards the end of the year when we did the countdown, we spoke to 10 different people and got 10 different versions of what they thought this shift was going to look like. And it turned out to be nothing anybody expected. And
well, I have to say, Lisa, in fairness, one of the things we speculated about is that it would turn up in a way that none of us expected.
That's true. That's true.
The only one that's come through.
And I can see how some people look at this and go, well, this isn't a spiritual shift. It's bogged down in paperwork. And I can certainly see that perspective. But for me, it's not. This is so multidimensional, it's not funny. And I know I keep making references to that beast vision I had because that's what I've got. And that's what brought home to me in every cell of my being the multidimensional aspect of this. So there is nothing about those documents that is 3D, apart from the fact that they're written on better paper. Everything else about them, and that you can literally feel the energy of them. I think
breaking up there, Lisa.
Those pieces of paper are worthless.
You're breaking up really bad there, Lisa.
Uh-oh.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Bob, just fine.
Okay, there's something on your line, Lisa. You're chopping really bad.
We couldn't have lost her. She started the call.
No, I started the call. She's changing her headphones, I think.
Yeah, Heather's just noted her energy is overloading Skype circuits. Got Heather running in the background on a bit of chat here. But I think we know the direction she was going in with that. Is that this is a very, very unexpected turn of events.
Well, I you know what? Just in reading the documents and in comprehending the multidimensional meaning behind them, you know, when you read that document and it's talking about the contract to experience separation has been satisfied, and the ramifications of that and what it really means, because this is how many thousands of years have we been playing this game? I don't even know. Since,
well, I'm hoping to find out in this process, actually.
Since
how many
Atlantis.
years? Yeah, well, yes, at least.
So I mean, this is.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, okay. Did we get Heather?
Heather, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Hi, Heather. Have you been able to listen to what we've been talking about so far?
Oh, yeah. I've listened to it all. Thank you. I really enjoy the energy, and I return it in kind. It's amazing to watch you guys be.
Thank you. Is there anything in particular you wanted to address today?
Just that enforcement is a big focus for people. Well, it's even more a focus now than money. When's the money going to show up? And I guess perhaps this is all intertwined anyway. The courtesy notices, the UCC filings, people are sending me all sorts of data, and especially the contrasts that are out there right now. And it's important for absolute data to come on the table. That's the whole job of the OPPT at this point. All the legalese, all that boring stuff, it's over, it's done with. There's nothing left to lien because everything's already held by the people equally as it is. So there's nothing left to lien. And for those I wanted to make this very clear, anything that is officially issued by OPPT is posted at our website. And that website is just an archive. We're not going to go in and make it user-friendly and all this, make it pretty and fun to use. It's just an archive so that people know what we officially issue. Other than that, everything that right now is coming out OPPT, it is the people. Someone sent me over saying, why did you guys send a letter pleading with was it the Swedish government? It was the Swedish government. I was like, that's news to me. And then I read it and realized, it's just the people out there. They're asking nicely and kindly, which is a great contrast to what you see certain corporations operating under the guise of government doing, collecting ammo and guns and playing their false flags. So the people don't need to file anything else on the UCC as far as the old stuff. If people choose to file UCCs for any kind of contract that they enter into or anything like that, that's great. But as far as the old stuff goes, it's all done. Nothing more needs to be liened. It's already done. All the assets were foreclosed on. And that was by their own choice, by the power holders' own choice. All we did was record it, so we were just a glorified secretary. So this is, as you said, there's much more to the UCC database than just a commercial registry. And that's where the fun stuff starts, and that's why I was so excited about Lisa talking about her vision regarding the beast. And it is about, right now, you guys are recognizing harvesting tools. KP, Cal Paley, was discussing about Facebook. And Facebook is a really good harvesting tool that someone behind Zuckerberg, because Zuckerberg doesn't have the energy cognizance to go in and even think about harvesting. So there was somebody else behind that. And I know that it went all the way up through the banking. So just be aware, see what resonates with you. I love data, and I love seeing all this data coming out, whether people term it as 3D, 5D, 27D, eternal. It doesn't matter. The point is data is coming out. I'm not attached to any of the data. I am attached to the absolute data coming out, transparent. So I just want to make those few clarifications. people are asking me to respond and get on radio shows and debate, and I'm not going to debate. Right now, I just want absolute data out there. If people want to go in and, discredit the Declaration of Facts, I would love that. Go in and do a sworn, duly verified rebuttal, declaration of rebuttal, point by point, specific, with specificity and particularity, and then we'll go ahead and play. But as far as getting on, energy is so effective and it's so important. Pay attention to where you're paying your energy. And I think you guys are all doing a wonderful job being. So those are the points that I just wanted to clarify. If there's anything else, go ahead and ask me, but I really enjoyed just seeing where you guys are taking the energy tonight.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, though, it feels like since that last document came out, and the question I just posed to all the people in the chat room, energetic accounting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I feel like I'm doing at the moment on a personal level. It's like my personal books are being balanced. Good, bad, and ugly. What does that mean for each individual on this planet right now? Are we all going through this?
Well,
are the behind the curtain going through this?
Oh yeah, they're the first ones to go through it. The wizards behind the curtain, they know all about energy, and they're the ones that have created the harvesting tools, and they're the ones right now trying to figure out what they're going to do, because, usually they have eons to set up their templates. They have decades to test them, refine them, and then they implement them. You guys took them off script. They have no idea what to do. So being off script, not knowing what to do, is causing chaos within their ranks, but they do know energy, and they have siphoned, stolen, commandeered energy by using tools of representation. And those guys are going to go through energetic accounting first. Now, the Eternal Heart exercise, which is being prepared right now, that's what it is. If you, and everyone has their own resonance, okay? They have their own database that they're working from, which is why it's so important to bring absolute data, transparent, and bring it visible on that table of transparency, is that perhaps you will find that within each embodiment, within each being in Source's universe, there's an eternal heart. Those souls, those eternal beings that decided they were going to play this game or have this experience of separation. And before they actually start playing the game or even set up the rules, they set up basically the safety net, the safety clause, the end game insurance that it would stop. And similar to what you would hear described as far as a death experience, a near-death experience, this review of your life and seeing whether you accomplished your goal, your mission, whatever it is. Well, really that's all energetic accounting or energetic bookkeeping, because bookkeeping and accounting are two separate things. They're not the same. And so with energetic bookkeeping and accounting, it just goes through and looks at every single movement that a particular Eternal Heart did throughout the embodiment. And the Eternal Hearts agreed to do this energetic and accounting and bookkeeping, and that is one of the tools of enforcement. Just one, mind you. So as far as the energetic accounting and bookkeeping goes, if I'm going to ask the other Eternal Hearts to go through the bookkeeping and accounting, then I must stand there and go through it myself. Whether I see myself as a bad person, a good person, that's all irrelevant. It's just data. So at this point, I know what my Eternal Heart is, and that was to go and share with all of you this experience of separation. Everyone was playing a role. So if I'm going to stand there and go through this energetic accounting and bookkeeping, then I can ask the other eternal hearts to do it too. But I don't have to go and do Lisa's accounting or bookkeeping. That's her job, and she will do that. And Lisa, you stated you already felt like you were doing it the minute that you even just heard about it and said, I'm in.
That's it. It started.
Yeah. So, and the ones that are in the eternal hearts that are embodied in the powers that were, they already know the eternal hearts are there. They were all pinged on January 21st. They knew that it was all coming on January 11th, and they knew decades ago that January 11th was the start date.
The 111.
So at this point, that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen all across the board. And like I said, the powers that were, those are going to be the first ones, and their embodiments will end up having or experiencing the judgment, the self-judgment that they chose with the action. So you don't have to judge them, which I find very interesting because this week I just received notice about a particular ruling against the Pope and the Queen for church and state crimes.
Yeah, the ITCC.
Okay, I haven't read it. I just saw it because it's actually quite lengthy, and I haven't had time to do that. But what I find interesting is this contrast between judgment and self-judgment. And the absolute data will come out on that as well. So I think it's beautiful. All this data coming out, and then people can choose what resonates with them. So the Eternal Heart exercise, I'm really excited for that to come out. I'll explain it really, really well. And the people can choose, see what it resonates with them if they want to play or not. And when I say play, I don't mean it in a light sense at all, in a lighthearted sense. It's not a game. It is actually real. That's why you have to do it with your full responsibility and liability. So if you aren't going to stand there and do your own energetic accounting, and then you don't have to think about it, it just happens automatically. You say, yes, I'm in. That's it. It goes.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. It goes.
So.
You made mention last week of the Akashic records, the eternal records. I think that was the term you used. It may not have been. There's been a bit of confusion.
Okay.
Is there any way you can clarify? I mean, we talked to people on this show in the past who believe they read the Akashic records and get some really interesting information out of there. Are you saying what they're reading is the cooked books?
Well, if you don't know there's another set of books, right? Then you read the books that you've got. And the other set of books, the eternal records, or the records of creation is how they were termed in the UCC from last week. Those are the eternal records. Those are unaltered. And, yeah, the Akashic records, I mean, if people are going to be attached to the Akashic records and think that it imports something on their own validity, that maybe what they're reading wasn't real and yet they were relying on them, that's the whole part of the process of ferreting all that data out. The Akashic records, for those that are reading them, the Akashic records are actually inside.
Inside each of us?
Mm-hmm.
The Akashic records or the eternal records?
Both. But the eternal records reside in a frequency that is absolute current.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the eternal records go, Dee always goes about this back and forth, stomping her feet, about remembering. And really, with any kind of data whatsoever, if you accept the data in your hand for your review, don't accept it for what it says, but you accept it for review in your hand, and then you acknowledge it, and then you discern within what is true or what isn't, or you say, I need more data, and you look around for any and all data that could be related or interrelated with it. Just accepting that it exists, number one, and then acknowledging it, and then choosing whether to embrace it, reject it, or hold it. until more comes in. I mean, that's the point we're at right now. So the Akashic records, people were reading them. Some of them have accepted the ability to be able to go in and look at them, read them. And actually that's a capacity or a human faculty or even a being faculty in Source's universe that belongs to all. Okay, so the Akashic records, that they've been altered, that is new data. And really it's a matter of, if you were to look at something, a document, for instance, and let's say you knew the backstory of a particular situation, and you're sitting there reading a document that's issued from one of your colleagues, and you know that they know this data as well, but they don't know that you know it, they'll write out some of that data, but then in order to spin it, but not tell lies, by making statements that are false, they go in and they only put in the parts to be able to paint the particular picture that they want. Yet you know that there's data that's missing and that it's not absolute data.
Yep.
That is the difference. You know that because you have another set of data that you're working from. You have the fuller set of data. Well, the Akashic records and the eternal records are all within everyone. Most people didn't even realize the eternal heart part of what was going on. You know, the end game, the insurance policy, so to speak. So now that that particular data is there, people need to go within, check it out, see what resonates. You know, if you don't believe at all, or you don't remember at all, or you don't know that there's an eternal heart there, or you just flat out reject it, okay, that's cool too. But it's within you, all that data, to make your own decision, your own choice.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Heather, if I could reinterpret that in a slightly different fashion, one of the things that we've all looked forward to is Big D disclosure. Are you actually saying that part of that, or even all of it, will actually be this internal disclosure, the acceptance of those eternal records, and the fact that you'll remember them? Well,
yeah, it's not reliant on it. Mm-hmm. It is a part of it, but that's, like I said, each eternal heart sets up their own triggers of remembering. And it's not the eternal hearts waking up and remembering. Those are always active. Those are always going. It is the embodiment waking up to the eternal heart and embracing what's within.
Okay, and the triggers for that, is that something that's going to be happening just on an individual basis, or are you expecting there to be a point where lots of people will be triggered at once?
No. There are definitely, well, for instance, look at OPPT. You know, just December 25th, and how far things have come right now, there's a lot of people that have resonated. And then there's, of course, those that don't, that are holding that contrast. And actually, all sides are holding the contrast, right? And
absolutely. Yeah.
So there are different triggers. Now, that was one trigger. Another trigger might be, for some, is actually having some relief, get those distractions off of their table. And we also had this discussion, you know, the mortgages and all these homes. And, I mean, back in the 80s, during the IZOD period, the Beamer period, everybody was searching around, you know, for any money, cars, clothes, tennis, clubs, you know, just distractions all the way around. Right now we're going through a period where the eternal hearts are making sure that all those distractions are taken away so you can focus on what is the key. So, you know, it's a matter of perception, and the fastest way to go through and reconcile this is to be very aware. Go and look at the data. It's like someone going in and spinning the raw audios of interviews that we do, right? And they go and they take one phrase and then they write whatever they want underneath it and say, look, you know, she admits to this. Well, if you go read the raw, listen to the raw data, you can see clearly that she did not even state that at all. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. Go and look for yourself. Go and pay attention. Pay attention to the data. So with the big disclosure, here's what I can say, is that is all being maneuvered right now. Because even at the highest levels, all the way to, if you want to call it heaven, all the politics and the games that we've seen down here, they're played all the way to the top, quote unquote. There's no top, there's no bottom. It's the same all the way through. So they're trying to hold on to the power as much as they can, and yet even at, if you want to call it galactic stage, it's whatever resonates with you. But there's a reason why they've been putting fluoride in your water. There's a reason why they've been doing the GMOs and having modified synthetic products invading your bodies, chemtrails all over the place. And that really has to do with you not accessing the Akashic records. And for one particular small, very small group, it's so you won't access the eternal records either. And that data will all come out here very shortly. So those that are not here on this planet, they've been looking and reviewing both of those sets of records at this point. So they know that these wait for the green light from heaven, wait for this or that. Everyone's just reconsidering the data in all its dimensions.
Thank you. That clarifies things for me a bit. I have some more questions for you that have come up in regards to CVAX. And I just want to let everybody know that on American Kabuki's site, there is now a post called OPPT Terminology Defined. And it goes through all the definitions of what a CVAC is, what a CVAC system is, what a CVAC branch is. The UILO is the Universal and International Law Ordinance, definitions of words that have been used. And I really strongly recommend you go and read all of those and get them very clear in your head. But one question that I've had repeatedly is based on a comment that came out in one of our discussions, and it was, you get in what you can draw out what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
So a comment along those lines. And so there are people who are, elderly, disabled, perhaps they've worked their entire lives and they're finally enjoying some retirement, who suddenly think now they've got to get a job or try and work or contribute in some way in order to receive, and it's freaking them out.
I saw someone comment on, I don't know if it was Tammy or Tracy or somebody else at this point. My comment was similar to a contract. If you go in and you do a contract, one person puts something in, oh, wait, that's exactly what the corporations have been doing all this time. You put something in, they don't, right?
Right.
So that's not a valid contract. That's in one sense. However, wow, whoever went in and said that old people, children, disabled have no value whatsoever, what are they going to do? It just shows where their mind is, what their position is. Because I have some really great older friends, disabled, children, you name it, everyone has value. And as far as what OPPT went in and got in the old system back for the people, everyone is prepaid this value, essentially, and it's been commandeered and stolen. So there's lots of value that's there for everybody, and it's all equal. As far as what value they want to share and experience now, that's up to them. But everyone has value.
But can you see that in a very 3D sense? They're like, well, I've got to put in, I've got to get it, I've got to work, I've got to contribute to the CVAC or to whatever that concept they've got in their head in order to receive something.
I think, Lisa, the problem a lot of people have, and it's because of the system that they've been brought up in. You're not trained. You're not taught to look at yourself as valuable. You're not taught to look at you just being you as being any value. We're taught to look at everything, in a monetary sense or in a material sense. Success is measured by how much money is in your bank account and, how many things you have. People go to school and they pursue careers not based on the things that make them happy, but based on they organize their careers and they plan out their careers based on how much money they can make. Well, that's not really, they're not being themselves, because whenever you're doing something that doesn't make you happy, that to me is a sign you are engaged in something outside of your beingness, something that is truly you. And when you're just truly you, and whether that be somebody who just likes to sit around and tell jokes all the time, that's you. Whether it's somebody who just loves to to lie around and pose and contemplate thoughts, that's fine. That's you. That's what brings you joy and being happiness, because you never know what comes out of those thoughts, whatever comes out of those jokes. How many times have any one of us been pulled off on the side and said, that day that I saw you and you smiled at me, you have no idea what you did. I was having such a bad day, but you have no. I really don't think people realize the valueness of their just being them, and the fact that if anyone in the world loves you, you are giving value to them because they're appreciating your energy, and that is what I think people need to start to refocus on, their intrinsic, authentic being.
Well, I think your definition of job is also going to be changing. So just what I would encourage is that everyone just go and make sure data is getting on the table. Whatever data that you come across, bring it to the table, bring it so that everyone can see it, and then make your choices of what is job from then to job now. I love having fun, and luckily everything that I'm doing now, which would be labeled a job, is actually just fun for me.
I think everybody should be able to say that about what they do and how they spend their time.
Well, Heather, what I'm getting from what you're saying about, for instance, the older retired infirm, etc., is that the value for them is already there, and it always was.
Oh yeah.
They won't have to go and work. They've probably, got a huge amount of value that from the work they've already done.
Yeah, that's true. So, well, I mean, look at what they did. They couldn't take your actual physical being, so they had to make a representation, right? And then after that, they've done everything they've done is to control, manage, and maintain that being. At this point, all that being was just registered to who you were. So right now, all the stuff that was old is frozen, and it's preserved, and it's protected. It'll be doled out here. And you guys just understand. That's why I put the definitions out. People were asking, okay, so the CVACs, when are they going to go out? Well, the CVAC, it's already out there. Creations, value, asset centers is each being in the source universe. It's a CVAC. And that, the way it was written, was specific, because that allows for any kind of dimension that you may encounter here very shortly is a CVAC. Now, the CVAC system, it was registered as government, CVAC government, and that was only for the transitionary period. It's just a stationary, consistent system, and only if you choose that you need assistance at a moment, it's just similar to going into the grocery store. You find you need something, you need some assistance, okay, go in, grab what you want, come on out. But the CVACs are you guys. The banks are you guys. All of us.
One of the comments I've seen, Heather, was that we're, for instance, we're now under this new trust. And I mean, that's absolutely not what I get from it. I get from it that we are the trust, and we always were. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, you guys are the trust. Anyone who says that you're under anything, you guys already know how I feel about limits. I mean, how much more limited can you be? You just, to come out of a system that you've been under and to go into another, that doesn't resonate with me. I know it's not going to resonate with anyone else. It's not that way. OPPT is just guarding the space. We went in and made sure we got all the being that they took, all the doing that they took from everyone. We've got it. It's going to be doled back out to each of the beings. And then as far as going in and what do you do at this point, that's being and doing is really all you have to consider. Everything else is already done. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I can see from the chat room that there are some people who are completely understanding what you're saying, and others not at all. And that's cool. Everyone's going to get it in their own way.
Well, the old system did a very good job at hiding what is. They did an excellent job.
If you look at the language that I posed that question in, we're under something. That's simply the programs we've been running under that have trained us to believe that we always have to be under something, that there always must be a structure above us because we're just a small cog in the wheel. And it's just a perspective shift that's required to bring it to the right point.
Well, yeah, and everyone's afraid about being under, that they're bonded in this UCC system. The UCC system, yes, you were bonded, you were like cattle in the UCC system. It's no longer that way. You're not even a part of the UCC system. Right now, all that's being held is that old value so that you can just go and be, okay? Nobody's in that system except for what's being held that was taken. But not the being itself. The being itself is now free from that system. And as far as bonding into a CVAC or anything else, you are the CVAC. There's no bonding into the CVAC. The CVAC system and the bonds that we're talking about are, if I want to go in and be of assistance, be a public service, I need to bond myself that I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the job, and if I damage anyone, I'm totally responsible. I'm responsible for what I do, and you already are. So this is really just a transition tool anyways. And nobody has to be a part of a CVAC system. Maybe someone, I love Tracy Smith brought up the Sunky Temple Trust. You know what? People may resonate with that. Our job is just to make sure all that data comes out, and people do know about not just Sunky Temple Trust, but also St. Germain Trust, all these other possibilities. Bring all the absolute data on the table. I'm not attached to any of them. I'm just attached to make sure that you have all that data to be exposed to it, and then for you to have the opportunity and the free will choice to decide what resonates with you, and then be and do as you choose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, yeah, it does. And again, I'm still getting the same sort of questions. People don't understand how they're going. They want to know what it looks. They want to know what it's going to look like in 3D. They want to know what they're going to have in their hand and how they're going to get it in order to pay for goods and services. They just want to know what it's going to look like in their hand.
Okay, so everyone's got their own level of understanding, right? Those that understand energy don't need any representation. They use the prime energy source.
Yes.
For those that still don't understand what and still don't know what the actual energy or what the actual value is, I should say, then that representation will be available to assist them, as well as the systems of education or anything else. Data will be brought out, and they can grow with it. But yes, some people need those representations just to get over that hurdle or to trigger a further data surge. So yeah, they'll have their representations, and that's what the CVAC system actually provides for everyone, is that treasury. They'll have the treasury. They'll be able to go in. You can use the 3D. It'll start off with 3D, and then it'll introduce higher forms of technology. Okay? And
so
as far as the other system, as far as any other system, that's all it's just systems to assist only when the CVAC chooses that they want that assistance. The Treasury needs to get that old value back out to everyone.
Okay, I think, Heather, what people are concerned about is where the link will be made into the Treasury. And what that will look like, will it be a web-based system, for instance, for withdrawing value so that it can be converted into something they're comfortable with, which in most people's case will be currency, as a transition?
Well, it can be, excuse me, it can be any, right now most people are using digital currency. In fact, even the paper money is digital currency. Okay? The paper money is just digital currency, and that's how all the accounting is done. And they haven't printed any dollars off in like actual paper in a long time. And the paper that they did cut actually went and it's being held, and the people that it was paid off to are not able to use that or put it back into the markets, or they're just having it in a vault and can only stare at it. So as far as the paper money, it's just a representation of the actual digital. So if that's what people need to have a mirrored system on, then fine.
One of the triggers for people responding negatively to the idea of going over to such an all-encompassing system as the CVAC system is the idea of they think that they're going to have a one world currency, a one world digital currency imposed on them, and because they've been whacked about the head with the idea of the New World Order doing that, they get very concerned. They get very concerned that cash is going to disappear completely out of the system immediately. And I don't see that as happening. I see it there as being a period of months or years where the old and the new are running alongside one another, and the more than 100 cash currencies that use cash still will dwindle down as nations, turn into communities. Now, just let me finish, Bob. And that eventually we'll be left with a digital system, but there'll still be some currencies alongside it for people who want to play around with pieces of paper. Would that be an accurate picture of the transformation?
Yeah, I mean,
I have to say, my end point is a cashless society. Beyond that, at some point,
it'll be the prime value. It'll be the prime value. When you go, for instance, when I go to Europe, if I'm in America and I go to Europe, I don't take American bills with me, right? I go and I order up some euro. If I pull out from an ATM, I know I'm going to get cooked on both sides, and I'm talking old paradigm here. So representations of value, or value, is what is agreed on between two or more parties. Whatever one party is willing to give and another party is willing to accept. So value, you can have coins, you can have current paper. Just to be clear, current funds is essentially what was all shut down. The currencies were shut down. So if the people want to have a currency, I know that a lot of people really enjoyed minting their own coins. But at the end of the day, it's still put against their accounting. That's the important part. Whatever representations they want, that's fine. Just make sure the representations that you're cutting or that you're using are accounted for. And that's the transparency that needs to happen. There's no transparency right now in any banking.
Sure. I mean, that's, whether it ends up being a piece of paper that people exchange or a coin that people exchange or just a digital exchange from one account to another, it's still got to be accounted for transparently. That's the whole point of having a transparent treasury.
Right.
But I think people, because there's a lot of people jumping to conclusions about bits and pieces they're hearing, and it's time to kind of feed them as big a picture as possible, so they don't jump to the conclusion that a switch will be flicked and all of a sudden there'll be the only thing that will be out there is digital currency. I just don't see it happening that way.
Well, I mean, if you look at the systems that are out there right now, to take those systems, for me, just as a regular person, knowing what the banks do behind the scenes and behind their screens and everything else, to take that system and say, okay, we're going to use this system, I'm going to sit there and wonder how many people have back doors and how many people have hidden holes or hidden pockets in that digital system. And if someone created the system, did they have a key? And who did they pass the key out to?
Yeah, no, actually, it wasn't. I
Sorry.
think it's actually a simpler problem than that, Heather. I think it's the fact what the people who fear the New World Order paradigm fear this. If there's a digital-only system that can only be accessed by card through their technology, they can chop you off at any time and leave you completely without any resources whatsoever. And as a control mechanism, that's the fear point. Okay, now I don't for a minute think that would ever happen or could ever happen in the transparency of what you're proposing, what the trustees have put forward to us in the CVAC, and the people's desire to still have representations of pieces of paper is simply that it's independent of anything electronic. I think it's that basic a problem.
Okay, well, let's see, that's the old system has a digital system which would do that, and they have done that. I mean,
I know they've chopped people off all the time.
It's the Great Depression. We've seen it in many cycles, about every 10 to 15 years after that. So, I mean, we've seen them do that. Okay, I get that. That's why I say anything that is there needs to be fully owned by the people. It needs to be transparent, and whoever is managing it in whatever form or fashion, they have to be held liable. So if you have transparency and the whole system is owned by the people equally of the planet, and they have that standing registered, then at that point, it's just a matter of the manager, right? Is the manager going to go shut it off? Well, if the manager's going to shut it off, you fire him.
That's it. And see, one of the problems I have with having this discussion with people is that I'm dealing almost entirely with people who haven't actually read the filings and don't see in it the transparency and the specifications for that absolute responsibility of management.
I also see that people are seeing a confusion between the infrastructure and the owners, meaning, you know, the infrastructure is there in terms of bank branches, ATMs, the computer network, and then there's the banks that currently control all of that. But they're two separate entities in a way. And if it was the people who went in and owned all that, then that's a different ballgame.
Can I say
here's
something?
The thing, too. It really what it boils down to is, you know, right now everybody's talking about, you know, when they get their money, and it's totally understandable for all the people that are in such bad situations and need the cash. But, you know, we've talked about it on so many calls before. What people want are they want to go to the grocery store. They want to go out and be able to get things that they need. And right now it's money that requires that. But if there's a time in the future where people can go out and they can fill their tank of gas, or they can get groceries, or they can go on a trip to Timbuktu or Honolulu, they have the ability to do that. So getting hung up on whether or not it takes, you know, dollars and cents or gold and silver out of your pocket is beside the point if people have the ability to go out and do what they want to do when they want to do it, which is the definition of abundance, to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it.
I'm sorry.
Go, Bob.
I'm getting a whole different picture. I understand what everybody's saying, but when I look at this, I see all of the dimensions coming together. I just want to just follow me for a second. Any of you who watch Star Trek, okay? Now, we're all talking about how are we going to pay for this, how are we going to pay for that. What if one of the things that you don't know is that everybody may have a replicator machine installed in their home? Now, with that replication machine, it will directly change energy into whatever you want. You can go and say, I want a cup of coffee. There it is. Then how irrelevant does the discussion about money occur? So then everybody's going to wonder, well, who's going to have access to the replication machines? You know, and how can I get one, and how will we make sure that everybody has one? Well, let's go a step further. Let's say you don't need the replication machine, and you can just do it yourself. One of the things I noticed in the filings is that, especially the last filings, the manuals for all creation shall be given, you know, and the guidance to use them.
Yeah.
this is one of the things, and I'm looking. Maybe I'm thinking way too big. Maybe I'm thinking, but I'm looking at a period of time in the very, very near future where all of this becomes really irrelevant.
Well, and that's exactly it, Bob. But I mean, the people that Lisa was asking me to answer, they're not there. They're not interested in that right now because that's not a part of the reality because they don't have that data. But that data will be coming, and yes, OPPT made preparations for it. So we've also made preparations for the respect and the honor of other beings, which everyone will have data on and experience with, because they've been prepped by the powers that were so that they would be rejected and feared. So at this point, you're reading, I don't think you're thinking too big, Bob. I think you can keep going. You can keep going.
Yeah, see, I see that as that's the destination. But what I keep, every time I talk to people about this, I'm trying to emphasize we're going through a transformation. And here's where we're starting from. And the questions, a lot of the questions that are being generated are from this starting position, right here and now, looking at my situation now. How do I solve my problems? And I completely understand that. But we're going to go through a transformation, and the end point, or even the beginning point, will be what Bob talks about, where the new types of technology do kick in. Now, that's just not on the desk just at the moment. But we still have to look forward to that point, because that's where I want to be.
Guys, are we up for taking some calls? Because we've got a few people on the line, and they've all got their hand up, and there's quite a few of them.
Yes, let's.
Sure.
Okay. We should have Ron Van Dyke. Hi, Ron. Thanks for hanging around for so long.
Thank you, Lisa. It's very interesting discussion. I'm really encouraged. Every time I listen to these discussions, I'm uplifted. At the beginning, we were talking about the courtesy notices, and I'm ready to distribute 14 of them tomorrow to 4 judges, 6 bank executives, a clerk of court, and 2 attorneys. And I've got it all. I haven't printed them all out yet, but I've got them ready to go, and now I have to look at the new thing and see what I need to modify. So I'm hoping to have that link.
Yeah, Ron, if you're just working off paper, you're just using their paper responses to you as the trigger? Is that what these courtesy notes are response to paper?
Yeah, the bank sent me a notice that in just a week before Christmas that I had to vacate my house, basically, or they were going to force me out. And there's never been a foreclosure. There was never a mortgage on my property. And so I've been fighting this in the court since 2005, and it's now in federal court. And the federal court's trying to dismiss it for technicalities rather than the meat of the issue of following the Constitution and following my right to a trial by jury, which they've always denied me. They've never even given me a hearing, let alone a trial.
What I was going to say was that the courtesy notice that the first version we put out was focused on paper, and if you're responding to paper, it's fine. You shouldn't have to change what you're doing. I just move forward on it. All that will happen is the ones we're adding to it will simply give you more scope to send it to more people with absolute justification in what you're doing.
Yeah, another question that I had that I wanted to get an answer to, and now that I have you on the phone, other people may have the same question. The paper that was served to me came from a particular bank, and I have on the reference number, I actually used the federal case as my reference number because I'm also attaching the federal court to the whole process, the federal court filing. But anyway,
just remember, Ron, that you're dealing individual to individual.
Correct.
And
that's
when
my point.
the courtesy notice when it hits their desk, what they need is clarity on the matter you're bringing to them. So just be careful when you're providing them with a reference to a piece of paper that person has sent you, that it is as accurate as possible in pointing them at the problem that you've found with them and their dealings with you. It's always this interpersonal, one-on-one thing that we're trying to achieve.
Yes, and I fully understand that, but but it says hereafter respondent, and I put a footnote or an end note actually in saying the respondent is actually the private individual, not the corporation, and I had to clarify that in the document.
I don't think.
And of course, the respondent's going to have the person's name, the individual names, who happen to be working for alleged corporations that are now closed.
Yeah, that the way you've done that, yes, you could do it, but you're really mixing the old system and the new. Don't forget that all of that stuff isn't. All of those concepts are gone now. That straw man, real man concept. There's only us left on the planet operating as real people, real individuals. Probably not necessary to do that. I don't think it'll get in the way, and it might bring us some clarification, but it's probably not necessary because it's a previous system concept.
It also states, doesn't it, that herein referred to as respondent, but and you've got the individual's name there. And Heather also said to make a note for the reference number.
The thing is, I don't have the individual's name, Lisa. I have that I received it from an alleged bank, and then I put / private individual named above, and in the respondent box up at the top, that the individual names will be printed of the parties in the action.
That's probably sufficient. You know, it is. It just needs to be clear. And Heather's just pointed out you could put on alleged case number, and not when you put the case number in there, you could and probably should put alleged case number, because everything is alleged. It's true fiction at this point.
Okay, well that's
what I'm saying is I think I think it'll
whenever
be fine.
I refer to the bank or
fine.
corporations, I've always say alleged, but I didn't do that for the case number.
Look, it hadn't occurred to Scott and I, but something will be sticking in there from now on. It's all alleged. Everything is alleged. But one of the things
alleged or purported, you know, if they send you a document, and the way that I always choose to deal with it, and it's everyone's whatever resonates within, okay? But if something comes before me and it just says I'm bank ABC, well, that's all I've got before me. I don't have a person. I don't have an individual's name, just bank ABC. Well, I send it back and say, you know, thank you so much, but I reject this for lack of identification. I don't even know who I'm talking to. So when you're ready to talk, here's the terms and conditions. Send me your full identification. Give me a name and contact address. But if they're sending you ABC, that's all you can respond to at that point, right?
Right, except I've looked up the names of all of the top actors in the corporation or in the bank, and those are the ones that are actually named in my lawsuit. Which,
perfect.
I'm basically resolving the lawsuit with the courtesy notice. I'm giving them one action that they don't have to accept my terms and conditions. That action is to absolve me, to cease and desist, give me notification in writing that they're all ceasing and desisting any action against me. That can be an action that they take that doesn't require anything back from them. But any other action is unacceptable, and the terms and conditions apply.
Yep,
absolutely.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. No, look, that's great, Ron. And how many people is that going out to?
14. 2 federal judges, 2 circuit judges, 6 officers of the bank in question, the clerk of the court, and 2 attorneys that were representing the bank.
Now,
have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun. I was just going to point out this, and you would have heard this earlier in the day. What you're doing is a classic case where if they come back and they deal with you in a fashion that's unsatisfactory to you, that we can actually enlist the support of the people to send their own courtesy notices for damaging their own personal measurable energy by the steps they've taken against you. So those 13 people, make sure you're in a position to quickly publish all of their details on the website page that Brian's setting up, so they can receive tens and thousands of courtesy notices if they don't behave as they should.
By the way, Chris, just a quick announcement. We have the flash mob post for Patrick Cody Morgan up on the AmericanKabuki.blogspot.com website ready to go. The courtesy notice that you put together already has a lot of the information filled in for Judge Lynn, alleged Judge Lynn, and all of his phone numbers and fax numbers and email addresses to him and everybody else in his courthouse are all there. So it's ready to go. If you want to support an innocent man who is just charged 27 years behind bars in federal prison, now is the time to act. Go ahead and go to the blog, and let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, I hope people around the world jump on this, because this is, somebody wrote me today an email and said, I can't believe you're falling for another scam. First you were pushing Nasara, then you were pushing Rusa, and now you're pushing the OPPT. And they sent me a link to above top secret or something. Look at this. And of course, I clicked the link, and it's one of those disinformation sites, as far as I can tell. I didn't read a whole lot about it, but they said, we're the ones that were waiting for it. You keep expecting somebody else to do it for you. And I thought, this is us doing it.
That's exactly
they think
what
that because Heather did it, that means it's not us doing it, or because somebody else is involved and it's not us. I mean, it is us. This is all us.
This is the one thing we've been presented with in the last couple of years that actually doesn't fall into the savior meme.
Definitely not.
It's
Definitely
the only
not.
thing, and
well,
this is what gets me when I see that.
Yeah, I just want to put in a footnote here, Ron. There's an energy adept that I've been having lots of conversations with, who's looking at, well, based on what Heather said before about the Akashic. I'll have to ask him whether it's his personal Akashic or the creation records. However, he's seeing the courtesy notices are so energetic, he can actually almost physically track them and identify them as individual items when he looks at the energy field surrounding everything that's going on with the OPPT, to the point where he can actually count them. Right, that's how powerful this message is that we're sending into the system, which is one of the reasons why we decided to expand out as much as possible so that as many people as possible can respond to cases like yours, because the people who receive them will get this massive energetic dose from the people that their behaviour needs to be corrected. And please, folks, when you're listening to this, don't underestimate the energetic effects of what you're doing. It's actually absolute key to what's going on in all of the underlying processes.
Sorry, you just reminded me. A guy in Sydney by the name of Amit, hello, if you're listening, organised the first Sydney OPPT meetup the other day, and I went. And he had a box of cards, like business cards that he'd printed out, talking about OPPT, and he leaves them lying around everywhere. And I hope you don't mind me telling people this, but he's leaving them on bus seats and train seats and things like that. And when someone comes along and sits on it, he gets a little chuckle and he thinks to himself, great, that energy's just going straight up your butt.
Huge.
And like we talked about yesterday, people are leaving courtesy notices around the place, cafes, up on notice boards, just leaving them on tables, and, that energy is getting out there, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, the energy shift is palpable. I mean, people that are really paying attention can't help but feel the surge that's coming through, and we're getting in touch with parts of ourselves. We're going through a spiritual transformation, and a lot of people are looking at the money and other aspects of it, but there's the spiritual transformation that's the really big thing that's happening. At least from my perspective, and some of my friends and people that I connect with on around the world on my vlogs and stuff like that. It's just amazing the energetic feeling that people have of connecting to something that's bigger than all of us, and yet it is us.
I'll just share with this to you. I just got a message from Captain Darryl, the Canadian gentleman who's been speaking out as an ex-member of the military on his terms, and he's just Skyped me and said, I'll read it out, the courtesy notice I handed out was like holy water on vampires.
Nice description.
Thanks, Darryl. Really appreciate that. Darryl's been interacting very, very, shall we say, effectively in something he's caught up with at the moment. And I believe he was being a member of the ex-military. He's quite forthright, and he was having a conversation with the sheriff about what he felt, the sheriff's behaviour that needed to be corrected. And he says, "And if you don't do this, I'll arrest you." Okay, there was no two ways about it. And I'm hoping that down the track, when the military, ex-military, whoever are willing to actually get involved with this, that's the kind of support we'll actually get. We won't get that for some time. That's my belief. But from my discussions with Darryl, there's a lot of military people watching this, and they're on our side. And down the track, we'll get the benefits of the work we're doing now by standing up as one. Because one thing he did say to me is they're waiting for us to stand up. So
may I ask another question?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'll leave your mic open, but we've got a lot of people to get to, so one quick one.
All right, the quick question is, people have been telling me that Heather is connected to the Rothschilds, and I'd like Heather to address that, if she's still on.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm laughing because I'm like the last person they even want connected to their name. No, I'm not connected to the Rothschilds. However, I have been to the Rothschilds' offices, Caleb and I both, London and Zurich, and I do have former experiences with people that do work with the Rothschilds. But as far as the Rothschilds, there was one gentleman, and we always had a guy in between, but there was one gentleman within the Rothschilds that basically would just send over, using other people's emails, he would send over certain documents. I'd be on a conversation on a phone, and within 10 minutes, I would have an email from nowhere basically saying, okay, Heather, go do this. So like when I got arrested and supposedly charged with, what was it? Something about an officer. The information from him was to go to the Attorney General and have the Attorney General verify, do a certified opinion, that particular statute that they were charging me under was constitutional. And the AG never does that because then they admit to the fraud, they set a paper trail. Usually cases go away. Well, that was one thing. Or like the deeds of trust, pointing out that the deeds of trust, look at them and look at the UCC. And deeds of trust paragraphs are basically cut and paste of the UCC, especially lien, landlord-tenant, gift, and purchase. So they were helpful in just pointing the direction of where to go look for things, but it was totally up to the trustees to go and vet the information, work it through, go and double check it, go and triple check it, and then go and check it some more. But there were people all through the system. Salen's law firm, one of the top lawyers for HSBC. There was a lot of people inside the system that want to get out of the hostage situation or the slavery system themselves. So for the people to think the people inside the system are creating this new world order, they actually want out. It's the highest level of the system. The principles. Those are the ones. And no, I don't interact with those guys.
And just so people understand, some of the best intel we get comes from within the system. We've spoken to lots of different people who were ex-CIA or military or still working within those confines. There's lots of people inside and outside of the system that are all working towards the same goal. And people, I think people, they like to put everybody in a box, and I hate when people do it to me. So please don't do that to any eternal heart, because everyone is responsible for making their own choices, and you can't lump people into a category and say, well, this person's a lawyer or that person's Jewish, and and I heard their grandmother say this word.
Did I answer your question to the Rothschilds?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm so relieved I got put out
Thank
there.
you.
Now, apparently, the chat room's going crazy. People are dropping off and logging out and logging in and losing sound. So
they're losing. I think we've lost the stream to a degree. I'm getting a couple of messages here saying they lost sound. So these are people listening elsewhere.
Refresh if you have to, but it should come back. We're still online. We're still live. So just refresh. Yeah, so am I. So are we back online? Can somebody send me a Skype message or?
Yeah, I've just got a couple in, and I'll just tell you what happens.
Did we just mention the noise?
Okay.
You're getting what, sorry? Because we're still connected to Blog Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's back on, and well, I know one successfully got back on. Yeah, so one's rebooting. Yep, we'll see how that goes. So I think people are getting back on. What about the chat room? Is anyone messaging from there?
Yeah, the same in the chat room. They can hear us.
Can't hear us.
Okay,
yeah,
great. We mentioned a dirty word.
Yeah. Heather, while we're asking, can I ask Heather another silly question? And it is, I think it's a silly question.
She's not there at the moment. She said she'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
But I just want to move on and bring out another caller.
Yep.
Area code 661.
That sounds like a Skype call.
Area code 661?
I don't know what my area code is, but I've been on Skype. I'll take it.
What was your name?
My name is Shaina.
Hi, Shaina.
Hi. First, I just want to tell you all, love you so much. Just send you out loving, intentional thoughts every day and to the world. And just have a question that has been nagging at me. I have a lot of family members that are very Christian. And they're looking at this as almost on the lines of the New World Order that is to be avoided. And I had hoped Heather would be on the line to address this because I was wondering, she talks about, getting all of the data on the table, the absolute data, and I'm wondering, is there going to be a time where people will know? Because when I was thinking about this, you have a lot of Christians and Muslims and different ethnic groups that are very ingrained, indoctrinated by their religions. How are they going to be able to come around to the acceptance of this? If they're going to be that energy coming from Creator that is going to help to open their minds and their hearts?
My personal answer is, yeah, that's what I think. That this awakening is happening inside each and every one of us. And truth, whatever that is, will come to each of us. And if it means breaking outside of a religious program, then that's what will happen. But, I'd like to hear from everybody else. Is Heather back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What's your thoughts?
I reiterate what Lisa said and just say be open, have no expectations, and definitely, you can either set your intent to be attached to data or not. And that includes the data that you previously hold or that you currently hold. So
we talked about trigger points before, and there's been a lot of trigger points over the last 12, 13 years for different people. 9/11 was a huge trigger, for example. The Pope resigning and whatever happens next with the Catholic Church may be a trigger for a great deal of Catholics and Christians. It
is. There are triggers, and look at all the questioning that's been going on just because of the Pope resigning. Then it goes into further, okay, why did the Pope resign? And then all of a sudden you're looking at information from is it ITTC, the court, and what they did. And then you have also the banking scandals. I mean, just the fact that the Vatican's getting so much light right now that they don't know what to do about it. It's just data. It's coming out. My grandmother is so attached to the Catholic Church and very attached to Pope. Doesn't matter who the guy is wearing the hat. Just the symbol of what the Pope is for her. Even with the sex scandals and the abuse scandals that came out, I just could not reconcile her way of thinking. But then again, that's her way of thinking. I love the contrast. It really made things easier for me, for my own choices.
Yeah, that resonates with me too. I that's why, as you said, just trying to wrap your head around how anyone could continue to support a system that has done so much harm. But then I just, all I do is, myself personally, is just throw love at it and say it's not really mine to understand or to change it. Just keep going my direction the way I need to and sending out that love. So I just, wanted to hear it from you. Helped me because it resonates with the way I feel.
Think about it this way. Think about it this way too. Let's say, as an example that'll illustrate this. Let's say you have somebody that believes the human species are the only beings in the universe, and they say, well, there's no extraterrestrials, or there's nobody else. It's just us, and that's their belief, and it's ingrained very deep within them, and all of a sudden, a ship comes down and lands, and brothers and sisters from the star walk out of it. They're put in a place where they couldn't possibly say we're the only ones anymore because they have the proof that's right in front of their face. So at some point, one point or another, there's going to be an experience that allows people to recalibrate their beliefs based on everything they see in front of their face, because all of the data is now put on the table. Now they have the ability to really go inside and say, okay, maybe the time has come for me to rethink this whole thing.
Yeah, Brian, I agree with you at one point, but at the same time, depending on how invested they are in that belief system, they can absolutely deny what they just saw in front of them and say it was a vision from the devil, So
the devil did it.
The devil did it. Yeah, exactly. So it's yeah.
I was just going to say, there's one aspect that I've talked to a couple of quite religious people about this. When I say religious, these are people who have very connected to certain faiths. And what I find is useful for them to think about is that most people are becoming aware that their churches have problems with corruption. This is the churches. And I just point out to them, the church is not your beliefs. Your beliefs are your beliefs. Separate the two things. You've got an attachment to the church. And if you treat it as a thing, you can lose that attachment without losing your beliefs that there is a creator and whatever else you want to associate with that belief. You can lose the church as a thing much more easily than you can lose your beliefs. And if they're worried about that aspect of this situation, that someone's going to try and take this away from them, just ask them in their minds to make that distinction between that building over there and what they believe about our whole reality. And that tends to make them less nervous about it, because most of them do understand it's their beliefs that are the important thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Thank you, Shayna.
Very well.
Thank you for your call. We're just going to move on to
Thank
the
you.
next
Yes,
caller.
I understand.
Thank you. 817 area code.
Hello?
Hello, 817.
Hi, hey guys.
Hey. Now, people,
Hello,
if you're having issues and the audio keeps dropping out, there's not much we can do at this end because we are still connected. So please just go back and listen to the archive after we get off the line. Sorry, what was your name?
Okay, my name's Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
So I'm already very, I guess sold. I've seen enough. It feels right. OPPT. I'm starting to take some action myself. Trying to get organized with people here in Texas. But I had one question. I'm just curious. What's happening behind like behind the scenes with you guys, and I guess I'm directing this question more towards Brian. Brian?
I'm here.
Okay. I know you've made some reference towards David Wilcock's financial tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering because I've read that myself, and it's a very good report. And I guess I'm just wondering, have you spoken with David or sent him anything about this? Because he's making some headway from what I've seen on his website. Getting that show or that report shown as a TV show in Russia on primetime hours. So it's kind of big.
Me personally, no. I've never spoke to David. I follow David's work. I think he puts out amazing information, and he's just another one of the dots that connects to the bigger picture. And there's a lot of people that follow him and look for his postings for updates on info. But no, I haven't. If you're asking me if I've talked to David Wilcock, no, I haven't actually spoken with him.
Okay. Is there anything that you guys are do? Well, I know you guys are getting the word out and everything on radios, but because that's I've been on his website and it's causing just a little bit of doubt on people that do follow him very closely. Like, why is
you mean the fact that he hasn't even mentioned OPPT? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm sorry?
Are you referring to the fact that he hasn't addressed OPPT? That he hasn't talked about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, we have no control over that. I mean, I think that David's very careful about what he puts out because he backed up Drake, and a lot of the stuff that Drake said was going to happen. Time periods came and went, and there's nothing visible for people to see. But we try not to get too caught up into whether or not people doubt this or not. It's not our job to go out and convince people of anything, and that's something that we've tried to make very clear from the very beginning is we'll put the information out and we'll give something to the people to research and do their homework, and if it resonates with them, great, and if it doesn't, that's totally okay too. Sooner or later everybody will come around, but they have to be able to do it on their own time and at their own speed and comfort level.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, man.
Thanks. Okay, we have 612 area code.
Hello, it's Elizabeth. Lisa, how are you?
I'm very well, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good. I have a couple dots to connect. I'm glad I got on because, okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you to every single person. Special thanks to all the speakers up front right now. But everybody that's on this phone, I just want to send gratitude to you and me and all of us that we're just being. Be yourself. And take the masks off and the costumes. Just be yourself. That's important before doing, just be. Anyway, Lisa and Heather, you talked about, Lisa, your testimony about that, I call it the Declaration of Freedom or the Declaration of Our Sovereignty that Heather, I believe, wrote. And what is the title of that, Lisa or Heather, that came out last week?
The last document. Yeah, what is the title of that, Heather?
Yeah. There is no declaration of sovereignty. I don't use the word sovereignty.
Okay.
I think she's talking about the Declaration of Satisfaction.
There it is.
Oh, okay. The Declaration of Satisfaction.
Yeah,
okay.
Lisa was talking about her testimony earlier that she read it and she felt more freer or whatever. And my testimony is after Lisa described it a little bit more, went point by point through it last week, I went and I read it out loud. And I encourage everybody to read it out loud because words are powerful. Ever since I read it out loud twice, oh, my God, I feel so free. I mean, I can just see it and be it now, And then I just want to say, I think right before I stumbled onto OPPT, not by accident, and it was right at the beginning, American Kabuki and all that. I think it was right before that or right when it started, I had this lucid dream, and the guy that did the CVAC visualization will kind of go with this. This lucid dream, and I was outside. I looked up in the sky, and there was tons. I thought there were spaceships, but now I know what they were. They were CVACs. There were tons of lucent bubbles, kind of looked like spaceships shape, but those are the CVACs. I say, oh, my God. I looked up, and I was surprised. Oh, my God, how many of these are there? It was awesome. Anyway, and they were way up in the sky, not just, you know. Okay, and then regarding the Akashic Records, I put 2 points together tonight, Heather. I know you guys talked about the other night, too, that there are like a pure set of Akashic or a second set of Akashic Records. Way back when this all started, OPPT, there was a gal named, we did a 7-series call, Wake Up, Shift is Happening, on the intention of awakening our chakras with Deb. I don't remember her name. But anyway, one of those calls, that was on American Kabuki, advertised it. You remember, Brian? On one of those calls, a set of sisters from Canada came on, and they go into the Akashic Records all the time. But anyway, within that week or so, they went in, and the elders told them there's this prayer they say to get into the Akashic Records, but they went in, the elders told them, now they changed a few little words in this prayer. The elders told them of the Akashic Records that this is the new paradigm shift prayer to enter into the Akashic Records. So that goes with what Heather says about this. And if I can give that blog page, can I do that?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Okay, it's called Okay, it's called, the Akashic Records of the New Paradigm .blogspot.ca and then a / The Akashic Records of the New Paradigm .blogspot.ca / And so thank you guys. And one more thing, Lisa, I got to the chat room last night, but I can't find the link to the chat room tonight. Where can we find the link to the chat room for Monday call and Tuesday's call, please?
Well, on Monday's call, you go to freedomreigns.us, and there's the chat room there. But for Tuesday's call, it should be right there on the Blog Talk page if you just scroll down.
Yeah, I did that.
Refresh the page. It should be there.
What does it look like, and how?
It just looks like the same, very much the same as the chat room you'd find on Freedom Reigns.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere. It's weird. Maybe I'm looking wrong. But anyway, thank you so much. I got all my beans out tonight, so thank you guys. Love you all.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Okay. Area code 970.
Hello?
Hello. What was your name?
Oh, hello. Hi. How are you guys?
Very good.
Okay, so, all
right. What's your name, sorry?
So, it's
hello?
Katie.
Katie.
Hello?
Oh, hey. Yes.
Hi. Okay, so about the CVACs, I'm glad that Heather's here, and I've sent you a couple of emails, but, okay, so my partner and I were on a farm. I'm sorry?
You, Katie, that called in yesterday. Very excited.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of stage fright. Yeah, and a little bit of discombobulation for a variety of other reasons. But yeah, so hopefully we can, continue. So my partner and I were on a farm and, out in the middle of the country. And so if there's anybody else out there, you're like, okay, so, a lot of us, we're here to create the new world, right? We're here to create new ways of being and really, get going. I was on the whole OPPT book, and there was a couple other people that they had a bunch of other ideas. And so for us, it's the farm, right? So we're on this farm, and there's 6 of us here, and we all are scrambling to pay rent and all this other stuff. And now Ethan and I, we're a little bit more of okay, so we've been following this. The last couple of years of our lives have been quite a roller coaster with this whole shift, and we've changed a lot, and we're not attached to anything. And really, it's I've been waiting for this for so long now. I'm not really waiting a little bit longer wouldn't be that big of a deal. But there's our roommates. They're very stuck in the old paradigm of I gotta go. God, we gotta pay rent, and we're trying to do this farm, and it's the white man's burden, or just the general burden in general, and it's I keep going over. Okay, well, if we could just not pay rent and really just focus our energy on the farm and really get we're on 30 acres, we're all renting it right now, and talking to the owner and being clear and yes, I do share this information with them, but it doesn't really quite register because they're like, well, yeah, but, and so and also in time, I recognize that maybe once we start to see something, actually start to see the value, or that we have value, but I can't seem to make the jump between, here we are in this world where we're having, we all have money issues at some point, and okay, so then. Where are we're all jumping at the bit here to get some action and to do things, and I don't know if I don't even know if it's time yet to clarify what is possible or what is wanting to happen, or Heather, you said on Mel V's that interview with Mel V, how the gold will be showing up as visible on the street and in full transparency. And the only thing that I could think of was that would be us humans, or us ourselves, as we are the value. So I don't know if anyone could clarify.
Katie, I'm not really sure what the question is here. Sorry.
Well, the question is, it's okay. Okay, so the question is how are we going to jump from? So paying rent, so would I? Okay, how do we not pay rent, or do we talk to the owner? How do we explain to the owner or to the owner of the land that we don't? Okay, so we would rather, instead of paying rent, we would rather we would rather invest our own time and energy and other finances, whatever we have, into the farm instead of struggling just to make bills and struggling to make bills.
Does anyone want to jump in at this point? I know what you're saying now, Darryl. Do you want to?
Yeah,
does anyone want to jump in?
Yeah. Okay. So you're really resonating with the actual value for value, closer to pride, not the representation, not the billing and all of that. So what I can tell you is this: there is technology that's out there. And in fact, we were going to bring it to Morocco back in 2008. And USA jumped in and basically buried everything. And this is where tomatoes grow the size of a melon, and they have 1,000 times more nutrients than what is already out there, or the technology that allows you to turn deserts back into forests. This kind of technology, and that's just, that's nothing as far as what's in the barrel, so to speak, but these are things that people who really resonate with the land and want to work the land, want to work with the land, you end up having so much different technologies to look at and decide what you want to do, how you want to co-create. So as far as the abundance part goes, where you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to do this, it's not so much you don't have to, it's just a matter of value for value. You're going to have that value, that abundance, which you already have. It's just a matter of actually now transferring that value over to here so that you can help that farmer who supposedly has to pay a mortgage, and yet that farmer is going to be receiving data in a way that is triggered for him, which he set up, to where he finally understands, wait a minute, I don't have a debt because can't even show me they made a loan. I mean, everyone's got their own triggers. And do you see how they're interrelated, though? That your landlord is going to end up with data, you're going to end up with data, and all of a sudden everyone's going to see how it's all interconnected and how you're able to live and co-create, and all of a sudden your job isn't a job and the shackles are gone. So really it's just a matter of getting that value in, right? Is that what you're asking? When are you going to have the value?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm working on the CVAC system now as far as the treasury. And the technology that's coming down for that transfer tracking systems, the best way to do it is to make sure the value is within each of you, that you're able to actually transfer it yourself, and that there's an automatic accounting that goes with it, a bookkeeping, and that everyone can see that bookkeeping. So all of that's coming now. That's the first system that's going to be put in place. And right now, we're getting the CVAC documents up and done this week so that the systems can start rolling out. Hopefully, as soon as the last CVAC is set up, which there's 193 of them left, then the system rolls out.
So, Heather, just to clarify, the system that allows people to get access to their value and transfer that value between individuals is being worked on as we speak.
It already exists.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of getting the CVAC paperwork in and done, and those protocols and instructions are being prepared right now.
Yes. And the way, correct me here, but the way I see it, I mean, people keep latching onto this $5 billion or $10 billion amount that gets mentioned. So the way I see it, it's a system where everything is already prepaid. You know, it's like that's what the old system owed us that stole from us, you could say. So if that's been taken back, and now it's sitting there in an account, like a credit account for us. It's so that everything is essentially prepaid.
Yeah, basically everything's prepaid, and then you can use it to invest in co-creating future value, which actually becomes present value because it keeps getting reinvested in the now.
Yeah. So it's not about going out there and earning or creating value that you can then use. It's already there.
Yeah, the value's already there, and you're just mixing it with the energy that you have now, which is, you know, they say there's no past, no past and no future. It's just the present. Well, this is a very good example of how that works. We have this value, which was taken a while ago. You're taking that and you're mixing it with your energy now, and you're creating something that actually will keep producing exponentially and perpetually into the future. But you'll keep changing it in the now as you go. The more data that you get, the more experiences that you have.
Now, guys, we've only got 3 more minutes left online. We can go a few minutes over. I don't know when Blog Talk will cut us off. So if you do get cut off, go back and listen to the archive for anything you've missed, and for the dropouts, because they will all be there in the archive. But Katie, I hope that answers your question. And we're going to move on and try and get 1 or 2 more squeezed in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Okay. We've got area code 703. Area code 703?
Yes. Hi.
Yes. Hi, what was your name?
Hi, I'm Paige.
Hi, Paige.
Hi there. I just wanted to, first of all, when you guys first started the show, I think it was Brian that was talking about the database that he's building, and he said that he was coming up with something called OPPT, taking names. And I just came up with an idea that a good name for it would be a treason tracker.
A treason tracker?
Yeah.
I'm sure Brian would like that, actually.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? So, and the other thing that I wanted to say is that one wonderful thing about this is for those who are awake, a really lonely position to be in. And the OPPT Facebook style page has been a wonderful resource, and it's been wonderful to connect with people that are like-minded. So that's all I really wanted to say.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
More than welcome. And thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll try and squeeze another one in. Area code 661. Area code 661. Sorry, no. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, it's Sharon calling. I'm from Canada.
Hi, Sharon.
And,
Canada.
hi there. I just really wanted to thank you guys for bringing this information out. But having worked with people for a lot of years now, helping them see that there is an enslavement program, one of the things that was really evident is that the whole enslavement program is at the mental concept. And to help people understand what this transition and transformation is they have to know where they are before they can see where they want to go. And so a lot of the questions are just absolutely amazing, and so are your responses. But there's a real fear of people wanting to be solely responsible, because that was part of the matrix of the fear instilling it in us, and that we should be dependent. And so everything's filtered through the mental self, which really was, the part that's being enslaved. And understanding from the eternal heart, if we're trying to do that through our mind, there's going to be a disconnect. So I just wanted to offer that being in the eternal heart is an experience, and it's an existence as who I be. And it's not an easy transition to make it there, but as Heather and all of you keep reiterating, it's with the heart, it's what resonates. And what helps people who aren't what we perceive to be fully awake yet or understanding yet is to ask them questions, as Bob was saying a while ago. Just ask them questions about how they feel about the current, and ask them questions about where would they like to go, because what we'll often do is present our conclusions of our experience here as the resonance, and that's really not it. I mean, we know the natives didn't see the Columbus ships coming because they'd never seen a ship before. So this is a wonderful journey. I just wanted to thank all of you so much for bringing this to the forefront so everyone can experience it, talk about it, and that energy itself is supporting this transition exponentially. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, we're going to take one more. His name is Prince, I believe. Flo.
I've made it. Here I am.
You made
Ladies
it.
and gentlemen, I appreciate you for allowing me to get on. Let me be quick. I'm homeless. I live in a shelter, and I want to set up my building as like a beginning frameworks of a CVAC. I want to just break down the entire structure of my building with having DHS come in and tell us who's supposed to be here and why, having us go and do all these work experience programs to pay for our food stamps and things like that. I want to be able to just start this system, get in touch with the people across the planet who are in on this, and just start this flow of energy into this building where there's just people who have no luck in life at all because there's no hope for them. We are people in here stuck on disability. People have just the worst problems, and they're just debilitated. I want to move this forward as fast and as poignant as possible. I want it to be a strong change. I don't want it to be a scared change. I feel like a lot of people are fearful about this, and I want people to be empowered. You understand me? I've been living this way for way too long for it to come up now and people try to be afraid of it, because this is my passion. You understand me? This is my love for this life I live. I give freely all day, every day. And when I see somebody else giving, I say, thank you for giving and thank you for being. You know, I've done this for years. This whole wake-up has just been a long time coming for everyone. And, yes, I heard someone say earlier that the change in the 2012, the shift, the whatever, it happened in a way that no one ever saw it coming. It blindsided us at the side of our head. You know what I mean? So everyone is here. Everyone is ready to move forward. I can hear us all. I can see us all here. But I just want to know how I can move this forward and how I can put my authority down and say, this is it. Get out of our building and give us back our life.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Well done.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Is it?
That's
I think
that's exactly the energy we need.
I was cold a minute ago. Now I'm burning up. I can take this jacket off now. I'm sitting outside of someone's house. I know I'm probably being loud, but I'm ready for this. You know, I want to get this meetup started. I'll go anywhere. Anyone is in New York City right now, I can meet up with you right now and talk about this. I'm ready. You understand me? If there's another blog site going on, another radio station, let's talk about this more. I'm ready.
I have to tell you that Dee just said to give you the message that she loves you. Dee from Removing the Shackles. You sound like her kind of guy. I think she wants to lend you her ass-kicking boots. Heather, do you want to talk to Prince?
Yeah, well, Prince, you're asking what you can. You're asking what can you do? You want to hook up with all these people? You just hooked up with a lot of people, and you just showed them what you be, and the energy is phenomenal. Your being is in the face. So I would suspect at this point, Prince needs to get his own.
On what? His way. Where to go?
Cut out. And Prince needs to get his own what?
Oh God. Oh God.
Oh no.
I think Prince what she was going to say was to get his own paperwork done. So please keep an eye out for the paperwork to actually become directly involved as public servants in the CVAC branches.
I've been passing them out all day. I passed out like 20 copies today.
Beautiful.
No, not the courtesy notice, though. That's not what he's talking about.
Oh, wow. Okay, so now I'm on.
No, I'm saying there's paperwork coming that will allow you to actually, the process is called bonding into being a public servant inside a branch of CVAC. It's an organised branch to do things for other people. It sounds like where you need to be.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. So it is coming, and for some reason Heather dropped off right at that point, which is very unfortunate. But
not unexpected.
Thank you. I really want to thank you for calling in because your passion was palpable. Is palpable.
Thank you.
And
where are you located, Prince?
I'm in
New York.
In New York City on Fordham Road on the Grand Concourse. If anybody's available out there, if anybody can hear me, FlowFocus, FLOFOKUZ @gmail.com. You can find me on the entire internet. My name is FlowFocus, FLOFOKUZ. You can Google that and find me. Hit me up any way you can. Let's talk about this. Let's move forward. Everyone, let's go.
And why don't you try either going to meetup.com and getting a meetup started in your area, or putting up some notices in the local cafes and things like that, and see if you can't get a group together to work with.
I just want to get everything in order. I want to get all of this information streamlined so that I can make like literally a curriculum over it and just start teaching people how to go out and enforce their desires. I mean, you know, their manifestation of their energy across the world.
Heather, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Prince, you're awesome.
Thank you. That's what I said when I listened to you yesterday. I was like, you are just a beyond belief angel. I love you guys.
Now, you cut out right when you said, I think Angel needs to get a... And that's when you cut out.
Oh, I think
Prince...
Yes.
I think Prince is going to be, and he's going to be an energy that really is a trigger for a lot of others. So Prince, thank you, and keep doing. There are tools that are out there. We'll keep them transparent, for all, so that they know what resonates with them. So just hook up wherever you feel it resonates with you, and meanwhile, more tools are on the way.
I need to have authority. You see what I'm saying? I need to be able to have these people understand that they don't have to listen to this old system anymore. I pull dollars out of my pockets and tell them this is gone. This is an illusion now. All right? We need to work under a new system. But they're like, oh, what about this and this country that and oh, communism. And I'm like, bro, stop. You know what I mean? This is what do you want? Tell me and write it down and let's move forward. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of like authority I need, but I want them to be able to look at it with plain words or some video. You know, I've been visualizing these animations and things like that, like the guy who did the CVAC visualization. I love that. That's exactly how it should be. I mean, that's exactly how the government should replace itself. You see what I'm saying? We need to be in charge of everything at the highest level, but the way that I look at it is that it's going to kind of be like Like okay, so I have a building, I have a CVAC, right, and anyone anywhere can come in and just say, okay, I need a room, or I need this or that, like you guys were saying, go in, walk in, take it, and go, right? But I know that there's fear of how to register and all of this and that, and how we can actually say this is our authority, hold it in front of somebody's face, something that they can touch and feel, something that they can say, oh, this is it, okay, okay, here we go.
Prince?
Yeah.
I would just change one word.
Mm-hmm.
Authority.
Change authority to service.
Service.
Okay?
That's the word that people understand, though, you see. So I want them to understand that the change of the paradigm is from authority to service. Correct?
Correct.
Well, then be that service.
Okay. I don't have any resources. I'm homeless, and I'm under a system where I really have to be in certain places at certain times for whatever reason. They're giving me food stamps, on a card, and it's like I can't, be everywhere at once, and I can't do everything all at once. So, I want to either be out of the system or, something. I need to be able to work.
The tools that you need are coming to you. And actually, you have a great one. It's your voice, the vehicle of your voice with your energy standing there. I can't remember what fear feels like pretty much anymore. But if I ever did have it, then you'd be one of the guys I'd want in the room to help me get rid of it.
I'm sitting outside of someone's house right now, in the dark, in the cold, with a laptop computer, a bag full of just all of my equipment. I do music, photography, fashion. I've a bag full of like maybe $5,000 worth of equipment. All right, and this is me being fearless outside. You understand me? In the cold, I'm home. I don't have anywhere to go. You understand me? But I'm ready to move this forward. I've been working under this system trying to make money, selling people their lives. I take a picture of them, or I take a video of them, I take a recording of them and basically sell it back to them, paint it a little bit. You understand me? So I've been working under this system, and now I want to change. I want to get this going, baby. This is it. So I need you guys to just send me all that information. I want to be on the top of this trickle down of information. You understand me? Put me in as a trustee or something. You understand me? I want to be in that room with you as well when you're doing these forefront battles, okay? That's where I want to be. Flowfocus@gmail.com. FLOFOKUZ@gmail.com.
All the tools that come through go straight up onto the OPPT-IN.com website for everybody as soon as Heather and the rest of the trustees make them available.
Right, of course.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best place to keep an eye on.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys, man. I'm going to go and find some place warm to relax and meditate. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Prince.
Thank you for calling.
All my love.
Thank you, Prince.
My love. Peace, everyone.
Take care.
Hey, one more question. I'm sorry. The guy with the accent. Are you the one that sings that song at the beginning of the movie? The tough days, rough night, my home and hammer. I love that song.
I don't think anybody on this show sings that song.
Oh
no,
my God.
Definitely not.
Well,
but thanks for
asking. What is FUQ? What the FUQ? That's the documentary that led me to OPPT.
Right, that's
Scott Bartle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's not you then.
No. Well, I'm told we sound alike, but no, it's not me.
You have his voice. It's like amazing. It's kind of like the synchronicity of the universe. I was brought aware of OPPT by emailing this man and saying I'm hyped over what he did, and what are the implications of this? And he said, this is a good place to start OPPT. And I said, wow. And I didn't look back since. This was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's what Scott does.
Getting Skypes everywhere. Love this guy. He's the bomb. Love Prince's energy. He can do his part. Wow. Thank you, Prince.
Thank you, guys. All right, I'm out of here. Next caller. Thank you.
I think we're going to leave it on a high note with you, Prince, because I really don't know how long we're going to last here. So thank you, everybody who's called in. Thanks for everyone who's been listening and participating in the chat room. Thanks for everyone who's with their questions. Guys, it's been an amazing journey, and it continues to be an amazing journey, and it's constantly evolving and growing, and all of your being and doing is just adding to the momentum, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And we feel so privileged to be connected to all of you, and to be able to participate in this together is just such a gift. And Heather's right, she could have done it for herself, but it's so much more fun with all of you. And I'm having the ride of my life. This is what I've been waiting for. And I know that's how a lot of you feel, based on the messages I'm getting. Yeah. And next, who knows? We're at a point now where it's like, what's next? And for 2 months now, it's been, oh my God, what's next? What can possibly top this? And yet something does. Mm-hmm. So, wow. Join us again next week, obviously, on Monday night for the US, Tuesday afternoon in Australia for the Opt-In show, and same time next week for the Collective Imagination show. We are hoping, and as long as time allows, Heather's time allows, that the documentation that's needed for these CVACs will be online at the Opt-In website. Also, keep your eye on this new area of the website that's developing, the Trees and Trackers, or whatever it's going to end up being called. And if you want to participate in supporting any of the individuals that appear on that page, then that's the place to do it. The documents will be there. What else? What other little mentions are there? The new versions of the courtesy notices will also be online. There'll be at least 4, possibly 5 of them. Catered. There's
also, also the audio where Scott and I go over a whole lot of queries will be there, and there'll probably be an additional audio talking about the new courtesy notices as well.
Okay, great. All right, I think that's all the housekeeping. Heather, thank you so much for joining us again. I know it's probably something like 4 o'clock in the morning for you. It's stupid.
No, it was worth it, especially that last caller. Thanks, Prince. So I'm awake now.
We'll be up all night.
Yeah, he's energized us all. So thank you, Prince. Okay, guys. Talk to you all soon.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Which is where there is a situation where someone has physically harmed you. Maybe they've put you in handcuffs and put you in a patrol car. We don't encourage anybody to try and use these in a situation like that, use a courtesy notice in a situation like that. It's very confrontational. It probably won't help you. You can wait till you get the piece of paper as a result of that and then do a combined action, if you wish. Then there's another category of future action, which is very simple, and the sort of thing you could send to a senior person inside a foreclosed corporation, and it simply says, with regard to any future action by respondent's name with address of respondent. And the terms and conditions that you would use if they happen to respond to this, the terms and conditions that you would use will become very clear when you become familiar with the terms and conditions. So I'd advise you to kind of read through those and get the feel of them, because you'd respond precisely to what they've actually put forward to you if you use that future action. Then we've got 2 special categories, which may end up being 1, but at the moment we've got a thing we've called Slavery Foreclosure General, and this relates back to a paragraph that's in the Declaration and Order, the final Declaration and Order, which we've also added to the courtesy notice in the section at the back under the military, or under enforcement. And it says, and I may have read this before, but I'll draw it to your attention, all beings of the Creator shall forthwith assist all public servants identified herein, meaning the trustees for that particular document, to implement, protect, preserve, and complete this order by all means of the Creator and created as stated herein by, with, and under your full personal liability. Which means that we, the people, are meant to assist the trustees and, of course, the volunteers within the military in shutting down the slavery systems. So the courtesy notice is a key part of that. We're letting them know that we know what's happened. Now, with regard to what we can use it for, I'll read out the declaration of facts that you would use, and you will find in this version, and you would use. And it says, with regard to perpetuation of any and all slavery systems by respondents with address of respondent. That's it. So that courtesy notice can go to any person in any corporation that, and I'll use this term specifically, damages your measurable energy. Tucked away down in the body of the courtesy notice is, under duly verified notice, is this paragraph. Proponent duly makes and gives you due notice that respondent is lawfully and legally responsible and liable in principal and triple damages under common law for any and all unlawful and illegal actions against proponent by respondent, causing and resulting in any and all damage to proponent, inclusive of physical harm, physical detention, property seizure, property damage, financial damage, or any other damage of proponent's measurable energy. Okay? So, if they do
Chris,
something which outrages you...
Sorry, I just want to clarify, based on what we talked about yesterday, when it comes to large groups of people wanting to stand behind an individual, one of the people,
This is it. This is
right.
it.
Which version are we talking about?
Both
What's
of these both of these two final versions. And just give me 30 more seconds, and I'll put the full stop at the end of the sentence. So,
all right, I just wanted to be really clear.
The two declaration of facts says, with regard to perpetuation of any and all slavery systems by person and with address of such and such, if you feel outraged by the actions of a CEO of a company or a police force, you could send this to the person in charge of that, because they are damaging your measurable energy. Okay? They are perpetuating a stress and a harm to you that has been foreclosed, and they should cease and desist. The second one is we're calling slavery foreclosure individual. This one says, with regard to perpetuation of any and all slavery systems, specifically the incarceration of, in this case, Patrick Cody Morgan by respondent's name with respondent's address. Okay? It could say Bill Brockbrader, and it should be addressed to the judge that put these guys in jail, or judges, all of the court staff, any police people, anyone that you find is involved with the incarceration of these
parameters. And now the goalposts have moved so much that it's even hard to touch the boundaries anymore. And we've got such a bigger field to play in. Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly, very much so. It's as though that the whole area has been cleared out for us. We get to paint whatever picture we want on it, and it's a lot bigger palette than we've ever had. We even have more colors to use, in painting this picture.
Mm.
And I have to say that's even expressing itself in the way that Scott and Ken and I were reprocessing the courtesy notice based on sort of feedback and what we're feeling, and we looked at it and we thought, this is much bigger than we thought originally. We've got to really think bigger here so people can deal with anything in their lives.
Another thing that's really come to the forefront of my mind is what all of this is. This is really, and I keep looking at it, there's more to it than just UCC filings and legalities and stuff. This is literally a crash course in fifth dimensional living. It's forcing, as I was going through this whole journey and putting all these things together, it's allowed me to connect so many different dots multidimensionally, as to putting lines across why things happen here and what's going on here and what's going on, and all the different energy levels and dimensions, and how they all fit together and how they all tie together. And it's really, really bringing together into focus who I am in relation to all of that. I mean, it's in a 3D way describing exactly who we are. And in every dimension you can imagine, it points to the same thing, that we are responsible, that we are creators, and that we get to exercise that now consciously. And that's a game I'm so excited to play.
I look back at this show and how it's evolved. And, towards the end of the year when we did the countdown, we spoke to 10 different people and got 10 different versions of what they thought this shift was going to look like. And it turned out to be nothing anybody expected. And
I have to say, Lisa, in fairness, one of the things we speculated about is that it would turn up in a way that none of us expected.
That's true. That's true.
The only one that's come through.
And I can see how some people look at this and go, well, this isn't a spiritual shift. It's bogged down in paperwork. And I can certainly see that perspective. But for me, it's not. This is so multidimensional, it's not funny. And I know I keep making references to that beast vision I had because that's what I've got. And that's what brought home to me in every cell of my being the multidimensional aspect of this. So there is nothing about those documents that is 3D, apart from the fact that they're written on better paper. Everything else about them, and that you can literally feel the energy of them. I think
breaking up there, Lisa.
Those pieces of paper are worthless.
You're breaking up really bad there, Lisa.
Uh-oh.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Bob, just fine.
Okay, there's something on your line, Lisa. You're chopping really bad.
We couldn't have lost her. She started the call.
No, I started the call. She's changing her headphones, I think.
Yeah, Heather's just noted her energy is overloading Skype circuits. Got Heather running in the background on a bit of chat here. But I think we know the direction she was going in with that, is that this is a very, very unexpected turn of events.
Well, you know what, just he is going to be registered as engaging in treasonous activity.
Mm. There you go.
And that database, as it grows, will get forwarded eventually to the military and the volunteers that are available for enforcement. And we're letting them know that they're not going to continue. We're taking names.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's basically it. Bob had a really creative name that he came up for it, and that's what I was trying to find in our Skype chat here, which is why I'm kind of back and forth. Bob, do you remember what you called it today? It was creative. I just wanted to see if you remembered.
Well,
it's OPPT taking names. So think of it like the the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. Well, it's going to be set up in a fashion like that where their position, their name, what they did is all going to be held in a database that will be keep a record of their actions so that when the time comes, they can be held accountable to the treason and to the offenses that they've made. So I'm actually in the background right now setting up the flash mob to support Patrick Cody Morgan and his sister who shared with us the whole story. So that at some point throughout the call we'll put the call out so we can send out courtesy notices to this alleged Judge Lynn Nettleton Hughes. So I'm working on it in the background right now.
Okay, great. Now, I just wanted to shift gears briefly, and I wanted to go back to that document that came out last week, the one that's on my website, American Kabuki, the one that finalizes how do you put this? Puts an end to the game of duality. And I wanted to ask the people in the chat room, because they're the only ones who can really talk to me about this right now, have you felt it? What's been your emotional and energetic response to this? Have you felt anything? Because what I really got for myself was that, and we made the comment last week in terms of, the powers that will are now currently working off script, but what I really got for me was that so am I. That whatever I came in here with, whatever issues, whatever karma, whatever words you want to put to it, whatever I carried through into this particular incarnation is done. And that I'm now in a position to work off script. I'm in a position now to let go of all of that programming. I can color outside the lines. I can create a whole new image. And there's been some interesting manifestations of that, both physically within my body, as probably you've all heard with the coughing and the carrying on, energetically, and also with relationships. It's like it's all balancing out. I am hearing stuff. I'm seeing stuff in the chat room. Exactly. Yeah, people are feeling it. Oh, that's good. I'm glad I'm not alone there. That's great.
It's not just that you can let go of. It's knowing that the contract has been satisfied.
Yeah.
With our Creator. Any guilt that you may be holding on to, you can let go because everything's been satisfied. Everything has been reckoned and dealt with. So we can move forward from here with how we want to build this world. It also came to me that because we're in this new space, basically anything we ask for is going to be so, because we're doing it, as long as it falls within those guidelines, anything we ask for is going to be for us. It's going to be there for us. So we get to decide.
So broad now. I don't know, it feels like we are literally making this up as we go along now in a way that we never have before. I mean, we've always been creating our own reality, but the guidelines, it felt like the guidelines for that were pretty strict for
people. That if you're finding that the absence of Bill Brockbrader has diminished you in some way, you are entitled to let the system know. And this is how we actually stand toe-to-toe.
Now, in light of this, and in light of the discussion we had yesterday, I'm going to bring Brian Kelly out because we're adding a whole new section to the website, the OPPT-IN.com website. And Brian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good, darling. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much.
So do you want to explain what this new section of the website is there for, and what its purpose is, and how people can use it?
Yeah, absolutely. This idea came about this morning when we received notice from Stacy, who's Patrick Cody Morgan's sister. And the full story, I'm actually preparing a blog as we speak for a little flash mob that we're going to do later. But essentially, Patrick Cody Morgan was charged for mortgage fraud, which was had no weight or bearing to it. It was totally illegitimate. And he had his arraignment today, or they basically this morning they found him guilty, and they sentenced him to 27 years in prison for doing absolutely nothing at all. So what we're going to do is, the inspiration is to to make these stories very widely known, and we plan on doing that by holding these people. This judge, for example, his name is Judge Lynn Nettleton Hughes, and for anybody out there that thinks they can get away with these kinds of things, we're going to make sure that everybody knows what you did, and we're going to make sure that you think twice if you're in a position to to commit these kinds of acts against free people and against innocent people. So the idea is that I'm trying to find the name of it here that Bob came up with today, and we're going to be putting out a part of the website where we'll be posting the pictures of these people and documentation, and as well as courtesy notices that tell the whole story, and then that way their faces are out there for everybody to see, and for anybody that wants to send courtesy notices in, or call the courthouse, send an email, send a fax. We set it up today, the flash mob that we're going to do later, where the courtesy notices can actually be emailed in. So essentially what we're going to have is an ongoing record logbook of these perpetrators. So they might have been able to to hide behind the systems, and really what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have nothing to hide behind anymore, and that what they did is made public. So what we're going to be adding to the opt-in website is going to allow us to do just that. It's going to put their crimes and their offenses out in the public for everybody to see, and hopefully that'll make them think twice about moving forward with these kinds of corruptive acts and practices. So Bob had a very yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify something. Are you saying that for each case that goes up there will be an already filled in courtesy notice, and all you have to do is add your name to it, that's already had all the details pertinent to that particular case filled in?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, go ahead, Bob. Who is that talking?
That was me.
Oh, hey, Bob.
Hi, everyone. We're having a snowstorm here, just by the way, so in case I drop out, you know what happened.
Well, if you drop out, we all drop out, so don't do that.
This is true. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, it acts basically as a public registry. We're letting them know that if you continue in this action, your name is going to be registered on a public database, and we'll give them the website that they can look at it with all the details of the case. So if you sent courtesy notices and he ignored them and he sent you a judgment or a fine or whatever, that's all going to be up there. And
Blog Talk Radio.
At this pivotal time in humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are divine creatures, creating both our own personal and our collective experience, moment to moment. We invite you to join us in the reawakening of this technology through experiment and experience the power to create and manifest. Become part of the 3%. The collective imagination.
Welcome everyone to the collective imagination for this week. We do have a lot of different things to discuss today, and hopefully clear up a lot of questions that people have. We also have Heather on the line today, which is a nice bonus, as always. And one of the things we want to talk about initially is, I just want to clear something up in regards to filing UCC filings and filing liens. If you're being told that you must make a UCC filing from a commentator, you've read it somewhere on the internet, it has not come from OPPT. There is actually nothing you need to do in that regard. People are getting really worried about, how to fill in their documents and stuff like that. There's nothing to fill in. The only exception to that is if you're using the courtesy notice and you're following that process, and you've invoiced an individual or several individuals over a period of time, and it's gotten to the point where you want to get enforcement on those invoices, only at that point would you be looking at making a filing. So I hope that clears things up, and I want to bring Chris in to add or clarify anything that I may have gotten wrong on that. Chris, you there?
I'm here. Good morning, everybody. It's a nice cool day here down at the moment where we are in the south of the country. And no, I think you've covered it. There's no need to be making any UCC filings at all unless you go to the enforcement end of the courtesy notice process, which is something that, amongst all the other things that have been popped in front of myself and the Bartles in the last week or so, that's on our list of things to do, to define and clarify that should anyone want or need to do it at a later point. And we don't see that happening, immediately. That'll take some weeks, if that, and it may never become necessary. But nevertheless, the courtesy notice is the key thing, and would you like me to talk about the next release of it, Lisa, now?
Yeah, we may as well while we're on the subject of the courtesy notice, yeah.
Okay, now, based on the initial experience we've had with the courtesy notice and the actual degree of wording that's available in the courtesy notice, we're actually about to do a re-release of the thing, and it's grown, it's changed in its scope, and which is why it's taking us a little longer than we expected, because we keep realizing there are things we can do with this. And we're going to end up with either 4 or 5 versions of the courtesy notice, but they're only different by one paragraph. Now, I've decided to release the 4 or 5 versions because we know there's people out there who really don't use things like Microsoft Word much and will struggle with copying and pasting. So we're going to put out just 4 to 5 separate files with a clear indication in the file name of what that particular one is for. And the categories they're going to fall into are these: a paper action. That's where the respondent has sent you a piece of paper with some kind of unlawful demand on it. A physical incident, which